brother Anthony Joshua in Usyk's training camp, spending 3 months with the man who embarrassed him twice. Not once, twice. And not only did he go out there, he said if he'd known what that level of work looked like earlier in his career, he would have been undisputed. Let that sink in. The guy who lost the heavyweight titles to Usyk is now sitting in his corner, helping him prepare to fight a kickboxer at the actual pyramids of Egypt. This story is mad from start to finish, and we're getting into all of it right now. So let's rewind and talk about how this even happened, because it's not as random as it sounds. Joshua explains it started through Sergey, someone who works closely with Usyk's team. He got invited down to the camp just to do some rounds. That's it. No big deal, no grand plan, just come spar, see how it goes. But their schedules didn't line up at the time, so it didn't happen straight away. Then AJ speaks to his friend Tom Hall, and Tom basically tells him, look, make this work. Put boxing first. These are winners. If you want to win, surround yourself with winners. Simple as that. So Joshua speaks to Eddie Hearn, speaks to his family, everyone's on board. He plans to go out for 2 weeks. 2 weeks becomes 3 months. 3 months becomes a real working relationship that Joshua himself says could continue long term. Mad how that works out.
I don't think Team Usyk at this point are trying to restructure him and break him down and they're trying to add to the qualities that he has.
Back onto Anthony Joshua, there was a fear for myself back when he was with Derek James that they're turning, as Tony Bellew phrased it, a dog into a cat, where he was wanting to become a polished boxer instead of a knockout artist. Training with Usyk now, that's not going to be a bad thing for anyone, but is there a fear that he is going back to that and maybe looking to box perfectly and brush up on them things instead of being a guy who knocks people out?
No, because I think you have to perform to your mindset, if you like. And AJ is a student of the game. He's always looking to improve. He's still a devastating puncher, but he doesn't make as many mistakes as he used to. You can go through those levels being a devastating puncher and knocking people out, but when you come up against pound for pound great fighters, you've got to have a bit more about you. Do you know what I mean? You can be a dangerous guy, but you're just not going to win those fights without great fundamentals. And I think people actually underplay his improvements as a fighter in that respect. His defence, his jab, his footwork. Like, it's much better than it used to be. But maybe he's not as erratic as he used to be. And when you're erratic, that is sometimes an asset, but only an asset at a certain level. So, no, I don't think I don't think Team Usyk at this point are trying to restructure him and break him down and they're trying to add to the qualities that he has, and they're a phenomenal team, and he loves it out there.
And here's the part that really hits different. AJ sits there and says on camera, if I had known what this level of work actually demands, I genuinely believe I would have been undisputed heavyweight champion. Coming from a 2-time world heavyweight champion, that is a serious statement. That's not a man making excuses. That's a man who went into that camp, got humbled by the standard he saw, and came out with a completely different perspective on what elite preparation actually looks like. And this is where it gets interesting, because Joshua doesn't just say, yeah, it was good. He breaks it down. The core message he takes from that camp is dead simple. Hard work doesn't lie. He says it twice. Hard work will give you the results you need. And the way he says it, you can tell this isn't just something he's saying for the cameras. This genuinely shifted something in him. He even addresses the young fighters watching directly. Says, you have to work harder. If you really want to get to the top of boxing like Usyk has, you have to work harder. Full stop. Now think about the context here. This is the same Usyk whose dad pulled him out of boxing as a kid for 2 years to learn Ukrainian dance just to improve his footwork. And it worked. The footwork you see Usyk use in fights, the angles, the movement that makes heavyweights look lost, that came from literal dance training. That's the level of detail and dedication we're talking about in that camp. So when AJ says it was an eye-opener, you believe every word of it. Right, so now let's talk about the actual fight that's got the whole combat sports world going crazy. Oleksandr Usyk, undisputed heavyweight champion. The best pound-for-pound fighter on the planet by most people's reckoning. Fighting Rico Verhoeven, the king of kickboxing, at the pyramids of Giza in Egypt on May 23rd. When you just say that out loud, it sounds like someone made it up.
There's not just a kickboxer having a boxing match. He's far more than that.
What impresses you the most about Rico Verhoeven?
I'll tell you what impresses me the most. He's been a complete success story in his own country. He's financially secure anyway. To get up every morning and train like it's his first fight. This guy has got dedication on another level. He's not like where you've heard that saying, what Marvin Hagler said, you know, it's hard to get out of bed when you're wearing silk pajamas and do all this hard work, you know. This guy's got more driven as time's gone on. He's super dedicated, super keen, super ambitious. Still, at 36 years of age, super ambitious, yeah? Wants to reach for the stars. If he could grab the stars and pull it down with a rope, he'd do it. He's that mentality. That's what impresses me about Rico.
Now, Usyk himself is asked about this in an interview, and his answer is brilliant. Someone asks him how he stays motivated for what everyone's calling a fun fight, and he goes, "For me, it's a real fight. Just like that. No drama, no big speech. For him, it's a real fight." He knows Rico isn't a skilled boxer. He openly says that. But the second you step in that ring with Usyk, you are in a real fight, whether you like it or not. And the location has him genuinely buzzing as well. He talks about how every fight has been in a different country, a different landmark. Poland, Wembley, Saudi Arabia, and Egypt is just the next chapter. He says it'll be his first time ever visiting Egypt. Fighting at the pyramids will literally be his first time in the country. That's the kind of career this man has had. Now here is where it gets spicy, because the boxing world has had a lot to say about this, and opinions are all over the place. The general vibe from most people is this: nobody has a massive problem with the fight itself. Rico is a legend of kickboxing. Guys who have paved the way in their sport deserve big paydays and big nights. The crossover event is fine. What is not fine to most people is the WBC heavyweight title being on the line. And bro, when you hear the list of names who have held that belt, Sonny Liston, Muhammad Ali, Joe Frazier, George Foreman, Larry Holmes, Evander Holyfield, Lennox Lewis, Tyson Fury, and then you get to Rico Verhoeven, kickboxer, 1 professional boxing win. You understand why people are losing their minds. Liam Goff goes the hardest with his reaction. He runs through Usyk's entire career to make the point. Every single fight Usyk took was a brutal one. He went to Tottenham Stadium to fight Joshua on his turf, rematched him, went to Saudi Arabia, fought Fury, rematched Fury, fought Dubois at Wembley right after Dubois knocked out Joshua. Every single time, the hardest possible fight, taken without complaint. That's the pattern. So this decision stands out like a sore thumb. Goff calls it pathetic. Says Usyk has stooped low, and lists a full roster of proper heavyweight contenders who got completely bypassed. Wardley, Parker, Herganovic, Torres, the list goes on. Frank Warren's take is interesting because he gets called out mid-interview. He says he doesn't like this kind of crossover stuff, and then the interviewer goes, "But you put Fury in with Ngannou." And Warren has to sit there and basically admit, "Yeah, I did that. There was serious money involved and it was exciting." So he gets it, but he still thinks Caballel should have been next. Here's the part of the story that really escalated the anger, and a lot of people miss this. When the fight was first announced, WBC President Mauricio Suleiman told journalist Chris Mannix directly that it would be a special event, a commemorative belt, not a real title defense. Basically the same setup as Fury versus Ngannou, where there was a made-up belt and it was treated as an exhibition event. Most people were still unhappy, but they were starting to come around to the idea. Then, within 48 hours, the WBC completely reversed that decision and made it an official heavyweight title defense. That U-turn is what sent everything over the edge. Because now you're not just talking about a fun crossover event, you're talking about Rico Verhoeven, in his second professional boxing match ever, fighting for the WBC Heavyweight Championship of the world. The same belt that carries the lineage of Ali and Foreman and Lewis. And people are rightfully asking, how does that happen? So after Rico, what's the plan? Usyk himself has spoken about wanting his last 3 fights to be the Wardley-Dubois winner, and then Tyson Fury for the send-off. He even mentioned wanting Wilder at one point to complete the full set against that generation. Joshua, Fury, Wilder. But those conversations never got to a contract stage, so that one's dead. Frank Warren is very clear though. Before any of those mega fights happen, Usyk must defend the WBC title against Agit Kabayel. Kabayel has been patient, stayed active, earned his shot. If Usyk doesn't take that fight, he either vacates or gets stripped. Warren says the bigger fights can happen after that, no problem, but that mandatory comes first. Johnny Nelson makes a point that gets overlooked in all this noise. He says Usyk's financial position isn't the same as Fury or Joshua. The huge commercial fights aren't just sitting there waiting. So this Rico fight, big payday, massive spectacle, easy work, actually makes perfect business sense for where Usyk is in his career. He's proved everything there is to prove. Now he's maximizing his position smartly. And that's the full picture. AJ spending 3 months in the enemy camp and coming out a changed man. Usyk preparing to fight a kickboxer at the pyramids like it's just another Tuesday. The WBC doing the WBC. And a boxing world that's split right down the middle on whether this is brilliant or a disaster. What do you lot think? Is Usyk right to take this fight? Or should he have gone straight to Kabayel? Drop it in the comments. And if you want more boxing content like this, make sure you're subscribed because we are not stopping.